The emerald light of the Grand Council chamber pulsed with an unsettling rhythm, reflecting off the polished obsidian surfaces and the impassive faces of the assembled krill. Across the vast hall, a holographic projection of the anomaly flickered, a jagged tear in the fabric of space that had opened a mere cycle ago. Fear, a cold tendril, snaked through the krill collective consciousness, amplified by the whispers of the shadow brokers, those enigmatic beings who trafficked in secrets and portended doom. The council's oldest member, Grand Counselor Xyler, a being whose chitinous shell bore the etchings of centuries, fixed his multifaceted gaze upon the swirling vortex. "Report," he commanded, his voice a low, resonant drone that echoed through the chamber. "What further details can be gleaned from the probe analysis?" The designated speaker, a young counselor named Xyler, her mandibles twitching nervously, stepped forward. The disruption originated from a Class 115 system, as previously established. The energy signature is unprecedented. The spectral analysis reveals traces of unknown materials, unlike anything documented in the Galactic registry. Further, a vessel has emerged from the disruption. The holographic projection zoomed in on a distorted, ungainly shape. It was a vessel of grotesque angles and asymmetrical protrusions, utterly alien to the krill aesthetic of flowing lines and harmonious design. Its surface was marred by imperfections, as though hastily constructed. Its presence was a violation of the krill's meticulously ordered universe, a chaotic discordance that triggered an instinctive aversion within their collective consciousness. "And its composition," Xyler pressed, his voice barely a whisper, yet the weight of his authority saturated the chamber. Xylera hesitated, her antennae quivering. "The initial scans suggest a reliance on heavy metals, ceramics, and—" She paused, as if reluctant to utter the word organics. A collective shudder ran through the council. Organics. The krill had encountered organic life before, of course, but the implications of an organic vessel emerging from such a source were deeply unsettling. Class 115 systems were known as death worlds, sites of intense stellar instability and planetary environments that were utterly hostile to life as the krill knew it. To not only survive, but to build a vessel within such a maelstrom of cosmic violence was inconceivable. Such a vessel was a threat, not only for its unknown technology, but also for the possibility of what might come next. Grand Counselor Xyler steepled his mandibles in thought. "The Shadow Brokers have provided their assessment?" The Shadow Brokers were a secretive order, feared and respected in equal measure, known for their uncanny ability to foresee the threads of fate. Their pronouncements were often cryptic and unsettling, but they were rarely, if ever, wrong. A hooded figure, cloaked in shadows that seemed to absorb the chamber's ambient light, materialized from the periphery. The Shadow Broker, its form concealed by the shifting darkness, offered a single pronouncement. "The vessel carries potential and danger. It originates from a civilization that has transcended the limitations of its cradle. It is a child of the chaos and the future." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken warnings. Counselor Tharon, known for his hawkish tendencies, immediately seized the opportunity to argue for a preemptive strike. "Potential for destruction, perhaps? We cannot afford to allow this aberration to pose a threat. We must eliminate it before it can spread its contamination." A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber, fueled by the krill's inherent xenophobia and their deep-seated fear of the unknown. For centuries, the krill had built their empire on order, predictability, and control. This vessel, this entity, represented a profound challenge to their established hierarchy. Xyler raised a mandibles, silencing the rising tide of aggression. "Patience, Counselor Tharon. Before we resort to violence, we must understand. What are its intentions? What are its capabilities? We know nothing about this civilization." He turned back to Xylera. "What is the vessel's trajectory? Is it heading towards us?" Xylera accessed the holographic display, her antennae twitching in response to the barrage of data. "The vessel's course is currently indeterminate. It is emitting a series of energy pulses, possibly a form of communication. We have not been able to decipher them." The chamber fell silent again, the tension palpable. The krill were a species of logic and reason. They prided themselves on their mastery of science and their ability to predict the future. This situation was anathema to their nature. It was an anomaly, a variable in their carefully constructed equation, and they did not know how to solve it. Xyler considered the situation, his processors running through countless scenarios. He recognized that diplomacy, however, was the only reasonable path forward. "Initiate contact," he said, his voice calm, resolute. Send a non-aggressive message. Attempt to establish communication. The Krill were the masters of peace, after all, or so they thought. The communication relay activated, sending out a complex series of binary signals repeated over and over into the emptiness of space. The Krill waited, their collective consciousness a vortex of apprehension and anticipation, for a reply. And as they waited, a new image materialized on the holographic display, another anomaly, another ship. However, this one was not from the unknown, or perhaps it was known all too well. The Krill had encountered it before, the ship of the Order. The ship of the humans. The holographic projection shifted, revealing the sleek, streamlined form of a human vessel, a vessel of elegant simplicity and undeniable power. It was like no other ship the Krill had ever encountered, and its appearance at this moment added a new layer of complexity to an already precarious situation. The humans, the Krill had learned, were a force to be reckoned with. Their technological prowess, their strategic acumen, and their unpredictable nature made them a formidable adversary, and an equally valuable ally. Counselor Tharon bristled. The humans, what is their involvement? He turned to Xyler. Are they aware of this vessel? Have they been monitoring the disruption? Xyler's antennae twitched, his mandibles tightening. The unexpected appearance of the humans complicated matters considerably. They had never fully understood the humans or their motivations. One moment they were cold pragmatists, willing to use any means necessary to achieve their objectives. The next they were driven by a code of honor, a sense of right and wrong that defied Krill logic. We have no way of knowing their intentions, Xyler said, but their presence suggests they are as interested in the anomaly as we are. Perhaps more so. Initiate communications with them as well. The chamber fell silent again, the only sound the quiet hum of the energy projectors and the rhythmic pulse of the emerald light. The Krill were caught between two unknown forces, two potential threats. The future was now more uncertain than ever before. As the Krill prepared to address the unknown, the bridge of the human vessel, the Dauntless, was a hive of controlled activity. The command center, bathed in the cool blue glow of holographic displays, was manned by a team of highly trained officers. The atmosphere was one of quiet efficiency, the hum of machinery and the soft voices of the crew the only sounds. Captain Eva Rostova, a woman of unyielding determination with eyes that held the wisdom of 1,000 battles, stood at the command console, her gaze fixed on the holographic display that showed the swirling chaos of the dimensional rift. The unknown ship had emerged from it moments ago. Report, she commanded, her voice calm and steady. The anomaly is stabilizing, Captain, Lieutenant Commander Jackson, her second-in-command, replied. Energy readings are fluctuating, but the distortion field is shrinking. We're picking up a low-level signal from the alien vessel. We are attempting to decrypt it. Rostova nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. The unknown ship, with its crude design and erratic movements, was a mystery, but it was not the ship that worried her. It was what it had emerged from. Class 115 systems were relics of cosmic violence, where the laws of physics seemed to bend and break. For a ship to exist there, it must be of incredible technology or of incredible desperation. Any sign of life signs? She asked. Negative, Captain. No biosignatures detected. However, sensor analysis indicates the presence of advanced technology. Shielding systems are unusual. Rostova tapped her fingers on the console, her mind racing. This was not their first encounter with the unknown. Humanity had been exploring the galaxy for centuries and had encountered countless civilizations, each with its own unique strengths and weaknesses. The Krill, the most powerful empire in the region, were a force of order and control. The humans had clashed with the Krill a few times, but they had also worked together on more than one occasion. We are also picking up a Krill transmission, Jackson reported. They are attempting to establish contact. Rostova considered this, her expression thoughtful. The Krill were undoubtedly as intrigued by the anomaly as they were. This could be an opportunity for cooperation, or it could be a trap. She had learned over the years that with the Krill it was always best to be cautious. Respond to the Krill, she ordered. Use standard diplomatic protocols. We will also attempt communication with the alien vessel. Acknowledged, Captain, Jackson replied, his fingers flying over the controls. Rostova turned back to the display, her gaze fixed on the alien vessel. The ship's strange, irregular shape hinted at an unknown technological marvel. She could not help but wonder about the civilization that had created it. What were their motives? What were their capabilities? And most importantly, what role would humanity play in their fate? This was a game, a delicate dance of diplomacy and strategy, and the stakes were higher than ever before. The Krill Grand Council chamber was now charged with the anticipation of a tense exchange with the humans. Xyler had chosen Counselor Zalara to be the speaker, her relative youth making her more flexible and open to new ideas. He knew the humans, despite their strange nature, were also great listeners. Zalara faced the holographic projection, where the image of the human vessel dominated the center of the display. She hesitated for a moment, gathering her thoughts. The human vessels were instantly recognizable, each bearing the emblem of Earth, a blue planet swirling with clouds. Even from a distance, the vessel's sleek design reflected their proficiency with technology. The humans favored simple lines and elegant functionality. In this regard, they were very different from the vessel that had emerged from the spatial rift. "Greetings, humans," Zalara began, her voice echoing through the chamber. "We are the Krill. We perceive a significant anomaly in this region of space, a spatial rift, and the emergence of a vessel from it. We are curious as to your presence and your intentions." The Krill waited, their collective consciousness a symphony of nervous anticipation. They had faced the humans before, and their interactions had been a mix of cooperation and conflict. The humans were unpredictable, driven by a morality that was often perplexing, but they also possessed a capacity for compassion and a willingness to fight for what they believed in. They were a civilization unlike any other the Krill had encountered. The response from the human vessel came swiftly. On the holographic display, an image of a human female appeared, her features crisp and clear. Her expression was neutral, but her eyes held a spark of intelligence and something more, a quiet strength. "Greetings, Krill," the human said, her voice clear and without inflection. "I am Captain Eva Rostova, commander of the Dauntless. We are also observing the anomaly. We share your curiosity and share your interest in the unknown vessel." Zalara allowed herself a slight easing of her tense posture. The human response was professional, non-aggressive, a good start. "We have attempted to establish communication with the alien vessel, but without success. Are you experiencing the same?" Captain Rostova nodded. "Initial attempts at communication have been unsuccessful. The vessel's systems are unusual. We are working on deciphering their signals." "Do you know the vessel's origin?" "Preliminary analysis suggests its origin is a Class 115 system, a very unstable environment." A low murmur swept through the Grand Council chamber. A Class 115 system. That news did little to relieve the tension. "We are familiar with Class 115 systems," Zalara said. "They are known as death worlds. The environment there is hostile to life. How does such a vessel exist?" Captain Rostova's expression remained unchanged. "That is the question we are trying to answer. Perhaps the emergence of the vessel is an indication of unknown things. We suggest that we pool our resources and work together." A wave of relief passed through the Krill collective consciousness. The humans were suggesting cooperation. Even Counselor Tharan looked slightly more relaxed. Xyler signaled to Zalara. "We concur," Zalara said, relaying the message. "We believe cooperation is the best course of action. What are your proposed terms?" "We propose a joint investigation. We will share all information we have gathered. We will deploy our scientific teams together. We'll pool our intelligence. We will also remain ready for any hostility." "Agreed," Zalara said, her voice firm. "We accept your proposal. Our scientists and engineers will prepare to board the vessel. We can start the analysis and exploration process." "Very good," Captain Rostova said. "We will prepare our teams, we will begin to form a strategy, and we will keep a close eye on the vessel, but we should also take precautions. The vessel may be more advanced than we think, or there may be more of the vessel." The humans were offering an alliance, a collaboration. It was a step forward, a step towards understanding, but also a step into the unknown. The implications were vast, the possibilities endless. The Krill, for the first time in their history, were on the same side as the humans. As the Krill and human ships approached the alien vessel, the air in the Grand Council chamber crackled with nervous energy. The holographic projection of the alien craft loomed before them, its strange angles and crude construction a stark contrast to the sleek vessels of the Krill and the humans. "Prepare the boarding teams," Xyler commanded. "We will proceed with caution." The human vessel was already sending over its own boarding parties. Rostova had anticipated the Krill's need to examine the vessel and the potential threat it posed. With a combined effort, they were the best chance of survival. Zalera, now designated as the Krill representative for the joint operation, watched the images of the human boarding parties preparing. They were armed, trained to respond to any threat. The humans were prepared for anything. The Krill boarding team, led by a seasoned veteran named Cathar, prepared to enter the vessel. The Krill were not warriors by nature, but they were not unprepared. They carried energy weapons, and their armor was designed to withstand a variety of threats. Cathar's antennae twitched, his mandibles set in a grim line. "Proceed with caution," he commanded his team. "The vessel may not be what it seems." The docking clamps secured, and the Krill boarding team advanced into the alien vessel. The airlock hissed open, and they found themselves in a narrow corridor. The air was thick, heavy with the smell of something indescribable, something organic and acrid. The interior of the alien vessel was a maze of narrow corridors and cramped chambers. The walls were constructed of rough, uneven materials, and the lighting was dim and flickering. It was a world of sharp angles and rough surfaces. As they explored, the Krill scientists began to analyze the vessel's systems. The technology was unlike anything they had ever encountered. The energy signatures were complex, the materials were unknown, and the control systems were baffling. They encountered a room filled with strange devices, glowing with an internal light. Krill researchers approached the devices, attempting to understand their function. But as they approached, the devices flickered and sparked, and the air filled with the sound of a low, rhythmic hum. Cathar felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. This was not a vessel of simple design. It was something more. Meanwhile, on board the Dauntless, Captain Rostova oversaw the progress of the boarding teams. She watched the data streams, her expression grave as she analyzed the reports from the Krill and human teams. "Any sign of life signs?" she asked. "Negative, Captain," Jackson replied. "No biosignatures detected. However, the alien vessel's interior is unsettling. The architecture is unlike anything we've seen." Rostova nodded, her mind already running through the possibilities. The alien vessel was a vessel of the unknown. She knew that they were facing a great danger. But humanity had faced many dangers before, and they had always survived. They were not afraid. The Dauntless was a symphony of motion, and within its walls the human crew moved with the grace of highly trained professionals. The ship's engineers, clad in their utilitarian jumpsuits, swarmed over the diagnostic panels, their fingers dancing over the controls, attempting to decipher the alien vessel's strange and complex systems. The tactical officers, their faces grim, monitored the readings from the alien vessel's sensor arrays, searching for any sign of aggression or hostility. The science team, their faces alive with an insatiable curiosity, pored over the data that was flowing in from the exploration teams, piecing together the puzzle of the vessel's origins. On the alien vessel, the exploration teams from both species continued their work. The Krill and humans, working side by side, shared their findings, their understanding slowly growing. They were beginning to discover what the alien vessel was and how it came to be. Then they found the core. The scientists and engineers had been working for what felt like cycles, attempting to understand the alien vessel's technology, when they discovered a central chamber. The chamber was larger than the other spaces in the vessel. In the center, there was a strange, spherical device that pulsed with a soft, ethereal light. The air was heavy with an almost palpable sense of energy, and the temperature was surprisingly warm. As the exploration teams entered the chamber, the spherical device began to glow more intensely. A beam of energy erupted from the sphere, projecting a holographic image of a planet. The planet was of a type that the Krill and the humans were familiar with, a Class M planet. It had blue oceans, green continents, and a breathable atmosphere, but it was not a planet they had ever seen before. Then the image shifted. The holographic projection displayed the life on the planet. Tall beings with elegant forms that looked more like sculpted light than flesh in a city of impossible architecture. A message, in a language unknown to both species, began to form. The Krill, with their vast store of linguistic knowledge, began to translate the message. The humans, with their mastery of technological interpretation, were soon able to follow Al. Ongt. The message described a civilization. It was an ancient civilization, far older than the Krill or the humans. They had explored the galaxy and had come to a horrifying conclusion. The universe was not as it seemed. It was not a place of order and balance, as the Krill believed. It was a place of darkness and chaos. The ancient civilization, they learned, had discovered a cosmic threat, a force of unimaginable power that was poised to consume all life in the galaxy. They had been trying to build a weapon, a device that could stop the threat, but they had failed. Their civilization had fallen. Now their last message was to warn the galaxy of the impending doom. As the Krill and humans listened, they understood. This was not just an unknown vessel. It was a warning, a call to arms, a testament to the ancient struggle against cosmic horror. As the message came to a close, the holographic projection faded. The spherical device in the center of the chamber went silent. And then, a small panel on the vessel's wall began to flash. In the flashing light, the human members of the exploration team recognized the symbols of their ancestors. The ship was not alien at all. Captain Rostova felt a cold dread creep into her heart. Her suspicions were confirmed. This ship was not built by an alien race. It had been built by humans, but not humans of the current era. It was a vessel from a forgotten time, a time of cosmic exploration, when humanity had pushed the boundaries of technology and knowledge. The Krill, too, were stunned. They had thought the vessel was alien. They had thought it was a threat, but it was not. It was a relic of humanity's past, and it was a warning. The ancient humans had vanished for a reason. "The ship, it's of human origin," Rostova said into her calm, "but not our time." The silence in the chamber was broken by a tremor. The lights flickered. The alien vessel, which had been silent for so long, seemed to awaken. A voice, the last echo of the long-lost humans, spoke into the chamber, loud enough for both the humans and the Krill to hear. "The threat is coming. It is vast. It will consume all. We failed. You must prepare." Then a new alert blared. Sensors screamed. The alien vessel, once silent, was now emitting a powerful energy signal, and from the edge of the galactic system, a new darkness came. The Dauntless was thrown into emergency maneuvers. The Krill vessels raced to join it. Whatever this threat was, it was about to arrive. Back in the Grand Council chamber, Xyler felt a chill run through his collective consciousness. The implications of this revelation were staggering. The alien vessel wasn't a threat, it was a warning, and now the threat was upon them. "Activate all defense systems," he commanded, his voice a low drone that echoed through the chamber. "Prepare for battle. Contact the other Krill colonies. Tell them to prepare for an all-out assault." Counselor Tharan, his expression grim, stepped forward. "The humans, are they to be trusted?" Xyler fixed his gaze on the holographic display, which now showed the approaching darkness. The humans were unpredictable, yes, but they were also a formidable force. They were the only other civilization in this region of space that stood a chance against the coming threat. "We have no choice," Xyler said. "We must trust them, we must work together, we must fight for our survival." As the Krill prepared for battle on board the Dauntless, Captain Rostova stood at the command console, her expression grim. The alien vessel had served its purpose. The message had been delivered. Now it was time to fight. "All hands battle stations," she commanded, her voice calm and steady. "Prepare for engagement. We are facing a threat that we do not fully understand. We must fight with all our strength, with all our ingenuity. We must survive." The human crew responded with unwavering efficiency. The Dauntless was a vessel of war, and its crew knew its purpose. They had faced many threats before, and they had always prevailed. They would not fail now. "Contact the Krill," Rostova continued. "Coordinate our defenses. We will fight alongside them for the survival of our species." As the Dauntless and the Krill fleet moved to intercept the approaching darkness, the air in the command center was electric with tension. Rostova stared out at the void, her mind racing. What was this threat? Where had it come from, and how could they possibly hope to defeat it? But as she looked out at the approaching darkness, Rostova knew one thing for certain: they would not give up. They would not surrender. They would fight. They would fight for humanity. They would fight for the galaxy. They would fight for the future. The Krill and human fleets joined forces, an alliance born of necessity. As they faced the encroaching darkness, they knew that their survival depended on their unity. "They're here," Jackson reported, his voice tight. "The unknown." The alien fleet was nothing the Krill or the humans had encountered before. It was a swirling, amorphous mass of dark energy, a living entity that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The sensors struggled to make sense of it. Rostova's gaze was unwavering as she addressed the fleet. We face a foe unlike any we have ever encountered. We must fight as one. We fight for humanity. We fight for the Krill. We fight for the galaxy itself. The Krill ships moved alongside the human vessels, a testament to the alliance that had formed in the face of oblivion. Energy weapons charged. Shields flared. The combined fleet was a shield against the abyss. As the alien mass drew closer, it began to change. Tendrils of dark energy lashed out, striking at the ships. The attacks were relentless and devastating. The shields of the Krill and human vessels buckled under the onslaught. Ships exploded, their flames joining the maelstrom. The battle raged. The Krill and human ships fought with fierce determination. Their combined technology was able to take down parts of the enemy. But the enemy was endless. It reformed, it adapted, it came again. "We're taking heavy casualties," Jackson reported. "We can't sustain this." Rostova did not flinch. "Hold the line, give them everything you've got." The Dauntless fired, its weapons cutting through the darkness. The ship was in the midst of the battle, giving everything it had. The battle lasted for what seemed like an eternity, the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. The Alliance fought together, knowing that their survival depended on their unity. The Krill, with their precision and technology, provided fire support and strategic guidance. The humans, with their audacity and spirit, fought with unflinching courage. Then a Krill ship suddenly exploded, throwing several vessels into disarray. The alien entity seemed to take advantage, launching an attack on an unguarded section of the line. "We have a breach," Jackson yelled, "shields failing." Rostova understood the direness of the situation. Their shield systems were not designed to withstand that kind of assault. If they let the entity in, the fight was over. "All ships pull back," Rostova ordered. "Focus fire on the breach." The Krill fleet and the remaining human vessels pulled back, forming a defensive line around the breach. They focused their fire, directing all available energy toward the encroaching darkness. They knew they couldn't hold forever. As the Krill and human vessels fought to hold the line, the alien vessel, the one that had carried the ancient message, emitted a pulse of energy. The energy, a beacon of hope against the growing darkness. Rostova, looking over to the display, was surprised to see the message again. The alien vessel was giving them an order, a command to fight and to run. "They're telling us to go through the breach," Jackson said, his voice laced with disbelief. "They're telling us to flee." The implications were difficult to believe. The humans and Krill had fought side by side. Now, were they expected to abandon all this to certain doom? "It's a trap," Theron yelled across the comms. "They're trying to split us apart. They know we cannot win if we run." "No," Rostova said, shaking her head. "They would have warned us. They would have come to us long ago." "We have to trust them," Zyler added over the comm. "If we fail, then our galaxy fails, and for what it's worth, the humans are not ones to run from a fight." Rostova did not hesitate. The vessels that remained moved. The Krill vessels and the human vessels, their hulls scorched and battered, turned and fled through the breach. The enemy, confused by the sudden change in the tide, was too slow to react. As they fled the battle, the remaining vessels looked back to see a brilliant explosion erupt from the alien ship, an act of sacrifice against the darkness. The darkness, it seemed, was now more desperate than ever. The combined Krill and human fleet, their numbers decimated, fled. They jumped through the portal and the portal closed behind them. The battle was over. The cost was great, but they had survived. After the retreat, the Dauntless had come to a stop in the open space. The Dauntless was alone with the remaining fleet of ships. They were scattered across the galaxy. The Krill and the humans, bruised and battered, had survived. "Report," Rostova said, the tension in the room thick. "Casualties are heavy, Captain," Jackson said, his voice quiet. "We lost many ships. Our shields are compromised, weapons systems at 50%. "We made it out," Rostova said, surveying the bridge. "The Krill, where are they?" "The Krill are regrouping, Captain. They sustained heavy damage as well. They are requesting a meeting." Rostova nodded, her expression serious. "They are probably wondering why we left, just like we are. Patch them in." The image of Zyler appeared on the main view screen, his features etched with weariness. "Humans," Zyler said, his voice, Low drone, why did we flee? Rostova sighed. The ship, the alien vessel, it told us to go. It seemed to want to die to fight it. We believed them. Xyler paused, his antennae twitching. You were right to trust the vessel. The vessel made a sacrifice, and by doing so, it changed the course of events. Our sensors picked up an energy surge. The enemy's forces were crippled. The two species had worked together in the face of an existential threat, and their combined efforts had brought them a measure of victory. It came at a terrible price, but they had won. So what now? Jackson asked. Where do we go? We can't fight the thing forever. The vessel also gave us a location, Rostova said. A place of refuge, a place to regroup, a place to rebuild. Xyler nodded. Our fleet will follow. We must rebuild. We must plan our next move. The ships had to rebuild, but there was a more pressing matter. Humanity's past had just been shown to them in more ways than one. They had uncovered a danger greater than they had ever realized. They had also found a great truth about themselves. Rostova looked out at the stars, the galaxy ahead. It was a vast and mysterious place, full of wonder and danger. They had faced the darkness, and they had survived. They would continue to fight for the future of their species, for the future of the galaxy. We have a lot to do, Rostova said, a look of grim determination crossing her face. But we are not alone. We have the Krill, we have each other, and we have the will to fight. As the Krill and human fleets gathered, the truth of the situation sank in. They had fought against a threat that had already devastated one civilization. Their victory had been costly, but they had survived. Now they faced an even greater challenge, how to rebuild and face the darkness that was still out there. After regrouping, Rostova stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, looking out at the expanse of space, lost in thought. She knew they had to find a way to turn the tide. They could not continue to fight a losing battle, waiting for the enemy to come to them. Have we received the data from the alien vessel? Rostova asked. Yes, Captain, Jackson replied. We are analyzing it now. We also have a transmission from the Krill. Patch them in, Rostova said. The image of Xyler appeared on the screen, his expression somber. The data from the vessel, it is incomplete, but it tells us the threat is not limited to our galaxy. It is cosmic. It has destroyed countless civilizations. A chill ran down Rostova's spine. The implications were staggering. If the threat was cosmic, how could they possibly hope to defeat it? The vessel also provided us with a map, Xyler continued. A map of other civilizations that have faced the same threat. They are scattered across the universe. So we can find more, Jackson said. Perhaps we can find allies, Rostova said. Perhaps we can find something that was lost long ago, Xyler said. The Krill and human fleets joined together. Their ships moved together, an alliance born of necessity. The Dauntless led the way, blazing a path through the unknown. Together, they looked to find those lost to the universe. As the fleet jumped to the next location, Rostova and Jackson looked out over the bridge of the Dauntless. They knew what they were up against. They had seen the darkness. They had felt the fear. They had tasted the price of victory, but they were not broken. Where to next, Captain? Jackson asked. Let's find the allies, Rostova said, her eyes burning with determination. Let's find the knowledge, and let's find a way to fight. The fleet jumped to the next location. In the emptiness of space, the Dauntless sailed onward, and the fight had only just begun. The future was unwritten, but one thing was certain. Humanity would meet it head-on. They would fight to defend their place in the universe. They would fight for those that could not. They would fight. And as the Dauntless plunged forward, the darkness in the universe would know. The humans and the Krill would be coming.